What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? And Daniel Acevedo.
How's it going, guys?
What's going on? So, welcome to another wonderful week. We are recording just before Christmas, so this will come out after Christmas. So, in case there's any Christmas references in here, please continue to tune in. So, Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask a CISSP. The last one I had was with Lynn Dome from WESIS. She's the executive director over there, and it was a really great conversation. So, please check that one out. And then Friday's everything else, so movies, books, games, all that good stuff. But without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article is from techzine.eu, written by Eric Van Klinken. And the title of this one is Old LastPass Hack Again Leads to 5.4 Million in Stolen Crypto Coins. So in case you didn't pick up on it, it says again, right? So the LastPass hack initially, the multiple hacks they had initially were in 2022, right? So they were hacked multiple times, right? So we talk about this, about how there's second and third order effects to these types of things when they do happen, right? So what ended up happening was password manager LastPass, right? So we've talked about password managers on the show as well and how they're a great idea. So don't take this as one of those things where, I got to go back to writing it back down and putting it on stickies, around my screen again, right? That's not what we're saying here, right? Don't go that route. But yeah, LastPass hacked in 2022, and there was a couple different attacks that were pretty profitable for some criminals, right? So the first time out, there was $4.7 million taken, right? And then it was $6.4 million the second time, right? But researchers that researched this hack say that they're estimating about $35 million in cryptocurrency was stolen since this last time, right? So this is, again, we talk about the second and third order effects of these types of things, right? And this is where it can happen. This hack was from 2022, right? And here we are in 2024, the end of 2024, to where it's like, okay, well, we're still going to use information we got from 2 years ago, to try to profit. And lo and behold, they're making out, right? Because people didn't change their passwords after the first time, right? They didn't utilize multifactor authentication, right? Which is a good practice to have. Anywhere, we say it all the time, and we stick by this. Anywhere it is offered for you to do multifactor authentication, please use it. If you're on something that doesn't have multifactor authentication, you might want to look into getting away from it. Okay, that's just how it is. But this is just, folks, be careful out there, right? Like if you get notification that there is a hack or something like that and your information's been stolen, first thing you should do is start changing your passwords. All right, first thing you should do, start optimizing and use all the security capabilities that are offered to you, right? Because this is what can happen. This is 2 years later. People are still getting hit for more money to get taken from them, right? So, folks, be careful out there. We say it all the time. There's no 100% solution on anything at risk. It's all about mitigating risk. You can never eliminate it altogether. So just make sure you're doing your part to do that. But Daniel, what's your thoughts on this?
Before we get into that, though, hats off to you for saying that guy's last name. I mean, that was just like, you shot 100% there. That was one take. Amazing. We're flawless here going into Christmas. But in all seriousness, my biggest takeaway from this, I guess, we could talk about multi-factor authentication, all those things. Our listeners are pretty smart already, right? We've talked about, password managers in the past getting hacked, LastPass in particular. But I think the biggest takeaway from this article for me is maybe something we haven't mentioned in the past, which is we talk a lot about exposure to risk to organizations, right? Their threat landscape and cybersecurity and those kind of things, what threat vectors are available in their enterprise and those kind of things. I don't think we look at it, or maybe we don't talk enough about it in our personal lives. So if you're using cryptocurrency and you're using a crypto wallet, those things already have things as multi-factor authentication baked into the crypto wallets. They have encryption on them. Maybe not so much the crypto coin itself, but some do. But if you're using Bitcoin or ETH or any of the big ones, you're either going through a brokerage, which has MFA and encryption built into the organizations, or you're using your own personal crypto wallet, like a USB little thing that will have high-level encryption, which can be enabled with two-factor authentication, right? Linking those accounts to LastPass, you're essentially, in my opinion, actually opening doors and making those things more vulnerable. The same thing can be said for things like banks, credit cards, your Fidelities, your investment accounts as well. So I think the big takeaway for me, and probably things I would take back to my family or friends, would be like, hey, if you're using for a password authenticator or password manager, I think that's great. I use one myself. Maybe for things that have financial inclinations into them, maybe don't link those things to those, and unfortunately embrace the suck and just remember those usernames and passwords, enable MFA and do those kind of things. Because that way, if you're using Keeper or one of the other more popular ones and those get hacked, then you're not going to be in the position that these people are right now, which they're losing Bitcoins and ETHs, which honestly were sound investments probably at those moments, and now you've lost those things, and it'd be really hard to get them back, especially through a hack from a third-party company. I'm just looking at my notes, but I think that's kind of the big takeaway I want to get from this. This is an age-old story, convenience versus security. We talk about this a lot. The only thing that apps like LastPass do have security built into them, but for everything, you're putting your eggs into all in one basket when you do this kind of thing. And if they get hacked, you kind of like letting the bad guys make the omelets with your money or crypto coins, essentially. So those are my 2 cents and my thoughts on this article. What do you think, man?
No, I think you're right. You're right there. You're right on target. So it's hard though, because when you try to explain it to friends and family, because I am asked about password wallets, which it's kind of weird conversation I have during Thanksgiving, but it does come up, right? You're like, well, it's better than, like Shannon said, writing on a sticky and sticking it underneath your keyboard, right? Or putting it into a notepad or something like that, where you have maximum exposure. But this is a hack that is, the ramifications have lasted multiple years because they stole the keys to the kingdom, right? They didn't just breach LastPass, but they also stole their encryption key, so they can unlock, your I guess it would be your private information on the website or within your a file on your computer, because they have the keys to the kingdom. So it's kind of like, don't use LastPass, I guess, would be the way to push them. If they still want to use a password wallet, don't use LastPass. And if you have ever used LastPass, then change all your passwords, use MFA, like all the stuff you guys talked about before. But for me, we just have to get away from passwords. Like, we have to go passkey. We have to. Like, so
Yeah.
Microsoft is just about ready to hit the button. Sony has done it on like my PSN account. Like the devices we carry around with us, though, those cell phones, things like that, have a lot of encryption baked into them. So why not just stick a private key on there as well? And then now it's just your public keys in the whatever cloud somewhere for Microsoft, for Sony, for Wells Fargo, whatever. And then you have to use your private key on your PC, or most unlikely your cell phone, because most people do most of their like, I could just be talking from personal experience, but I use my cell phone way more than I use my PC because it's always with me. So I think it has to be the future. We have to get away from passwords. They're just not working. MFA is great. I used to be a MFA hater, and I've since turned the corner because it saved me on a couple occasions. But Passkey, I think, is the solid future. And I could eat these words a year from now because Passkey would be somehow compromised or something. But PKI has worked for a decade or more, right? And we've trusted that in the DoD. So I think this is just the reasonable extension of that into the private and public sector, is to use Passkey. But that's just really my 2 cents, right? But I think that is the way of the future.
But even with PKI, so like I hate to say this, right? But like we've seen encryptions fall in our lifetime. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Things that
that's
were
true.
created in our lifetime, that are falling in our lifetime, that we're only going to get quicker and quicker to getting to those goals, right? The stuff that we've been saying, oh, this won't be cracked for a million years,
Right.
5 years from now, like in our lifetime, again, we'll see another one fall, right? Like it's kind of how it is. But I mean, that's the way of the world. You got to come up with the next thing. It's like IPv6, right? We thought we would never run out of IPs using IPv4, but here we are. IPv6 is the way of the future because we're assigning IPs to refrigerators and toasters and washers and dryers, and you know what I mean. Stuff we
Right.
just never thought was in our future.
No, that's
Hey man,
very true.
I need my fridge to play Spotify, all right? While I'm cooking. Right? I need my Mariah Carey All I Want for Christmas while I'm trying to make that coquito
Right.
up in the kitchen.
Exactly what you need. But I guess we'll see. Like, so you saw with Google's new quantum chip, right? Like, it has 105 qubits or whatever. What was it? It was able to solve something that would take like 7 sync tuple or some other made up number older than the universe. to solve because it's using quantum computing and possibly tapping into the multiverse.
Pretty
It's
much.
some
It's
crazy some crazy stuff, right? So I don't think anything is perfect. I'm just saying, like, I think as we continue to, I guess, as the finish line continues to move, we have to move with it. And in this case, I think Passkey is the next foreseeable leap for us, and the simple button for multiple users. But I mean, hey, quantum computing is right around the corner, right? Next decade or so, we might actually have a working quantum computer that can break all of our known encryption so far. So I digress. So please continue to tune in throughout the week. So Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask a CISSP. Please go back and listen to the one with Lynn Dom. It was an amazing episode. WeSys is awesome. So please listen to their background, their history, Lynn's experience, and their future initiatives. And then Friday's everything else: movies, books, games, all that good stuff. Hit up all the websites that go by our name. Give me a personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me pretty much on all the platforms. And where can they find you, Daniel?
on LinkedIn under my name, Daniel Acevedo.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.